All right. So let's have you put in the chat. Let's do it this way, since there's a few of us and we have some new ones. I would like you to put in the chat one of two things. Either a big win that you want to share, and let's talk about how you got that win so that we can help others also get some wins, or put in what are you struggling with right now? What is the most difficult thing for you right now?
A few moments later.
So it looks like struggling to find motivated buyers and sellers is a common struggle. So let's hear a little bit more about that. So first I want to ask, and so Anthony, Emily, and Charles, you specifically have that as a struggle. So I want to know a little bit more. First of all, what is it that you're doing currently to find buyers or sellers that are motivated?
So me personally, I've been hitting my farm a lot recently. So I sent out a mailer a couple weeks ago, door knocked like a month ago, door knocked again yesterday, leaving door hangers around my neighborhood, trying to focus on my farm, get some listings from there, reaching out to my SOI and social media.
Okay, great. I'm glad that I heard SOI in there. So we're going to talk a little bit more about that. Emily, what are you focusing on?
I'm reaching out to my SOI, following up. I got lots of Facebook leads 6 months ago or so, following up with those, open houses, and that's about it.
Okay. And Charles, what is it that you're doing for lead generation?
I do my 10-10-5s daily and make a few phone calls. I feel like I've sort of exhausted my SOI, but I still find just a few each day that I haven't actually read. I was too afraid to reach out to initially. And I door knocked about a month ago. Just handed out my business card. I didn't have anything more substantial to hand out at that time. And that's it. I haven't gotten any. I've come across maybe 3 friends that had just made purchases that didn't know I was a realtor. But no one that's imminently trying to buy or sell.
Okay. Thank you for sharing. I'd like to see more cameras come on if at all possible. We got a lot of black boxes. Okay, so I want to know that everyone here is okay if we get real with the conversation about this, okay? Because everything that you guys are doing is all great. Everything over time that you guys have talked about works. And the single best thing that works is SOI. And what we find is that, because you guys know the statistics around that, right? Anyone not know the statistic around SOI and how much of our business comes from that? No? Okay. So we know that that's where our focus needs to be. And I've said this a couple times recently, and for the benefit of some of our newer ones, I'm going to say it again. At the Shift into Overthrive event that I recently attended with Mark King and Jason Abrams, basically we need to, thank you, Stephanie. Basically, we need to really simplify things and really narrow our focus, okay? What that means is, if you have at least, they say 201, I say 300. I've said 300 all along. We used to talk about 300. Now they've said 201. I'm not changing from 300, okay? If you don't have at least 300 people in your database that are SOI, Okay, because I know you might have all kinds of people in your database that are tagged something else. But if they're not true SOI, then you still have work to do. If you have 300, you will not run out of SOI to talk to on a regular basis following the DTD4 schedule. Okay. When you are doing that and you're at 300, that's when you kind of earn the right to do some other things. Okay. So remember, if we're not at 300, then we have to go find new people to meet and add to our database, right? And if we are there, we need to be regular reaching out to them through DTD4. Is there anyone here that doesn't know what DTD4 is?
I don't.
Okay. It is in your PC toolkit. It is a single, so it's not in a folder. If you scroll, or I don't know how yours is set up, but there is a document in there called DTD4. And matter of fact, let me show it to you. Most people, or I shouldn't say most people, a lot of people know what this is, but I think it's very beneficial. And I have, there, Rick has his. I love it, love it. And I know he in particular can attest to how well this works. So you've all heard about putting your SOI on a quarterly call plan, right? That should be one of your things. Now, if you have this piece of paper that I'm about to share and you keep this in front of you, or you open it up every day from the toolkit, however it works for you, you don't need to set them on a quarterly call plan, because this is going to tell you what to do. And you can, if you're one that wants to open command and have it tell you what to do, which you should for everything else. This is the DTD4 schedule. So this is March 21st. So we're going to go here to the week of March 30th. Okay. So essentially you're going to look through your database and you're going to call everyone in your SOI. Notice the call column. Okay. You're going to call everyone in your SOI whose last name begins with the letters I and Q. You're going to text everyone in your database whose last name begins with the letter C. And you're going to send a social media private message to everyone in your database whose last name begins with G. So you're going to be focusing on 4 letters a week of the person's last name, the first letter of the last name. And you're going to do different things: call, text, and social media private message. When you do this, you will connect with your SOI database 8 times a year without doing anything else, right? Then imagine adding them to a biweekly neighborhood nurture. 26 more times. You're at 34 times you're going to be reaching out to them. Okay, we got to add some other things in there too, but it's that simple. Here's the thing. How, if I were to ask you, because I've heard all of you that put this in the chat, and anybody chime in, please, because this conversation is to benefit everyone. How many people can truly say they have called, texted, or messaged every single person in their SOI database? Because if we're being honest with ourselves, would you say there's probably a handful you get to their name and you're like, I don't want to call them. Anybody have that happen to them? And they just kind of skip over them. So before you know it, you've skipped over 10, and by next week you've skipped over 20 and then 30. So you had it in front of you with the intention of doing it, and then we don't fully do it. Okay. Is that resonating with people? Remember, part of what Mark and Jason said in this event, and they are going around the country talking about this because it's so important. And I'm just going to say it as bluntly as they did. A couple of you have already heard this. If you're not calling your SOI, every single one of them, Quit calling them your SOI. They're not yours. They're someone else's. And guaranteed someone else will call them. And when that someone else does, they're going to do business with that someone else. And how is that going to make you feel? Madam?
Yeah, let me ask you, Jodi. So say I'm not a caller to begin with. Should I be starting to call people? I'm a texter. I've always been that way. I mean, I have a handful of people that I call, usually my mom and my sister, but usually I'm a texter. Is texting viewed as same? I mean, I've been texting with someone and we're not really close. She's just a mom on my daughter's team, but I knew she was looking. So I've been like reaching out to her and I feel like we've built a good rapport via text. Should I be calling too?
You should be calling with the actual phone a minimum of 4 times a year.
Okay.
Texts and emails and messages and letters do not take the place of phone calls. Okay. And it's been proven that 4 phone calls a year regularly to our SOI is kind of the magic number. Now, mind you, you attempt to call them 4 times. You're likely not going to talk to them all 4 times because they either don't answer the phone, they're busy, called at a bad time, whatever. But you're still going to leave a message. They're still going to see that you called. They're still going to know you've made that attempt. Okay, so to be honest, Autumn, I'm a texter too. I'd rather text than talk on the phone. Okay. Depends on what it's about. Sometimes we'll be texting and it's getting too much. It's like, okay, this is ridiculous. We need to pick up the phone because this is too much, right? So even though a lot of us in this day and age prefer email or text over a phone call, that's taking too much personal out. And so we've got to make sure we keep that in. Because remember, guys, the goal is to be top of mind. So they're going to be on somebody's going to be on top of their mind, right? And if you're not reaching out all these times in all these ways, it's not going to be you. It's going to be the person, because here's what's going to happen. There are agents who will pound the phones. They will just call number after number after number. They have these dialers. They pay hundreds of dollars a month for it. And you know what? That's all their career's ever going to be. Because are they successful? A lot of them are. And a lot of them have good business. However, they're going to live their career like that. Does anybody want to pound phones for their whole career? No. So those people, though, that are doing that are going to somehow connect with each of your SOI sometime, somewhere. And if you guys aren't top of mind, that phone pounder agent is going to be the one who sells them a house, no matter how close you are. And then how badly are we going to regret not having reached out to them? Right.
I would like to add to that. Just real quick, I have a similar problem with parts of my SOI, and I'm a millennial and I relate to that. I hate getting a phone call. Millennials don't like to be on the phone so much. But what I've been doing to kind of get around that is text and set up one-on-ones. Like there's a lot of people that I see on a regular basis, but we never talk on the phone. So it would feel super unnatural for me to call them up, but I'll text and I just make sure then I'll grab a coffee with them or a cocktail if I'm serious about them, because it's kind of like the talking on the phone for me doesn't work with everyone, but I feel like you can kind of get around it, send an extra birthday card or whatever.
Well, yeah, but you're not just not talking to them, right? You're finding a way to interact with them face to face.
Exactly.
And so the important thing is if we rely on every piece of communication to be a text, an email, a card, a letter, a private message, or on social media, that's not enough. We have to have that personal interaction, and it doesn't have to be all the time. But once a quarter, we need to be personally interacting. And Autumn, to the example that you mentioned earlier with the mom that you have this great texting relationship with, I mean, I might send her another text and say, hey, fellow mom, or hey, fellow mom, we've been texting quite a bit. I'd love to just pick up the phone and chat with you and get to know you a little bit better. Would that be okay? Do you have some time this afternoon or tomorrow that we could just chat? for just 10 minutes. Like, so set the stage that you're not going to hold them hostage on the phone, right? Nobody wants that. Nobody wants a long phone call. And if a phone call goes long naturally, great. But no, while lead genning, right? Set an appointment to continue catching up later. But these things are important. Ernie?
Yeah, I want as far as the text is more specifically, like even on the 10-10-5s with the five on your Facebook, what kind of content do you suggest? And when, I mean, we're talking about prospecting your sphere of influence, you know, and specifically, I mean, so like if it's text, it's probably somebody I haven't talked to for a while or something, you know, wherever it falls. But what kind of content, you know, are you putting in that? Just, hey, haven't seen you in a while.
Yeah,
You know.
It's whatever feels natural to you for the person. And keep in mind that if you haven't talked to somebody in a long time, a text or a private message could be a good icebreaker, right? To set the stage for a phone call. And that's, you notice that DTD4 has all those ways, right? So it's not just phone calls, but if every time we're in our calls and we skip over the same people over and over again, we're likely not to be able to continue calling them our true SOI, right? And so as far as the 10-10-5 goes, those are things that does not have to be extensive. It's somebody posts a cat video and it's like, cute, funny, oh, you know, whatever. It doesn't have to be anything. The point with that is to help the algorithms on your social media continue connecting you to those people and them connected to you. So that's the point of liking or whatever emoji you want to use in that, and making a comment. Facebook, Instagram, they don't care if it's 1 word or 100 words, right? And so, but if somebody comments on your post, make sure you interact with those comments, like it, heart it, whatever, or comment back. Because again, this is how you get social media to work for you, but doing it intentionally, not as a time suck. Okay. So
That last, the 5 though, that's a text through your IM, right?
yeah,
So that I mean, something like, hey, I liked your comment. That was cool. We should chat sometime.
yeah, that would be either a private message through social media. It could also be you share someone else's post. So
okay.
it could be either of those things, right? That's all going to help your connections on social media. And the more you connect and the more they see things, and we're not going to go down a social media rabbit hole right now, but I will remind you, remember, 80% of your posts should be personal. Let people get to know you. 20% of your posts about real estate, and don't make them all, do you want to know the value of your house? Everybody does that. Stand out, be different. Okay. So we had some other things mentioned that you guys are doing: door knocking, circle calling, open houses. So in this same Shift into Overthrive event, there were 2 sources that were the top way nationwide, the top way to get business. And we've already talked about one of them, SOI. It cannot be ignored. And the more you ignore it, the less it's going to work for you, right? But the second way was open houses. So I really encourage you guys to start doing open houses. It is a great way to get real estate leads, because these are people coming with probable intent to do real estate. Even if half the people already have an agent, so what? You're still getting plenty of leads, right? And you're getting listing leads as well, because a lot of buyers have to sell homes. And you're also adding to your SOI. Every contact that you get that signs in after you've put them in command and you've reached out to them a handful of times, you'll earn the right to call them your SOI. So it's a great way to start building more, right? And then using DTD4, just that should be a continuous cycle. So while door knocking is great, if you're door knocking, you need to door knock with a purpose. So not just to hand out business cards, because guys, what happens when we hand out a business card?
Gosh.
It goes in the trash. 99.9% of the time. And if it doesn't, it goes into the wallet or the purse or the drawer until 6 months later and they clean it out and then it goes into the trash, right? So if you're going to give somebody a business card, make sure you're getting their information too. Use it as a means to have a conversation, because there's no point in just handing out a bunch of random cards if you're not having conversations and getting information to connect with them again. Okay, so make sure that we're not just using business cards as a crutch, that we're using them as a tool, a very valuable tool for helping those conversations. So Anthony, out of curiosity, when you door knock, what is your reason for door knocking? What are you doing?
So one thing I do hand out when I door knock is a recipe. Partly what I've been door knocking for is just seller listings. So seeing if people in the neighborhood are wanting to buy or sell, or if they know anyone wanting to buy or sell. And I'm really just trying to establish myself as like the market leader in my area. So people just see me, they see my mailers, they see my door hangers, and they recognize me. So that's kind of my main goal. The other day I was door knocking with the intent because we had a new listing come up in the HOA. And I was just saying that my office has a new listing. If you know anyone wanting to move to the neighborhood, and kind of going from there.
Yeah,
other times I door knock, I'm inviting neighbors to open houses. So yeah.
So the last two things that you mentioned are fantastic. Having a purpose, right? And the other pieces that you're doing, there's absolutely nothing wrong with, but here's what I want to make sure everybody understands about what we typically call farming, right? Farming is something that should not take the place of your SOI and the other sources that get you leads faster, like open houses, okay? Farming should be something that you do as an extra when you have that extra time, and only if you can commit to being super regular with it. Like not 1 month goes by that you don't connect with everyone in that farm somehow, some way, because farming is how we get leads like 5 years from now, 10 years from now, because they're used to seeing us all the time. It's very long-term, typically, okay? Doesn't mean it won't pay off at some point, but when you need business now, that shouldn't be the focus, because farming's not going to get you business now in most cases. You might get lucky and get that random one, but statistically speaking, that's not going to get you business now. Okay, so be mindful of that and how everyone's using their time with those things. Make sure your time is focused on the things that are proven to get you business sooner. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Is that helpful? Any other thoughts or comments on that before we move on?
I do have a question. Like I put it on the chat box, but like I've had open houses, and so I keep those people in my database, and I keep reaching back out to them whenever there is a new listing around the area. And what they ask me for is the address. So how do I address that without, just giving them the address and losing them?
That's a good question. So so let me understand it fully. These are leads you've received from a open house you've done. You're reaching out to tell them about another open house, right?
A new listing within the area, because the other home that I had the open house for got sold.
Okay, so there's nothing wrong with giving them the address, right? So they can drive by. Matter of fact, you might encourage them to drive by, see if it's an area that they would be interested in, and let them know, hey, take a look at it, drive by. If it's something that fits your needs, then I'd love to show it to you, right? So there's nothing wrong with that. You're actually helping by looking out for them. But before you give them an address just because a house popped up in the area, have you had conversations with these people about what it is they're looking for? And maybe use the fact that a new listing popped up in the area. And this is assuming if you haven't had those full conversations yet, we didn't have a chance to talk about exactly what you needed in a house, but I know you liked this area, so I wanted to let you know about it. And then use that as a segue into asking them those questions.
I have just briefly at the open house, they were, when I would ask them, well, how do you like the home? They would usually tell me at that particular place, it was only 1 bathroom. They were looking for a 2-bathroom. So for example, this one is within the same area. It is a 2-bathroom. So I started reaching out to everyone that thought the other one was great, except they only had 1 bathroom. And so now they're reaching back and they're responding. They're like, yeah, but can you send me the address? But I wanted to kind of have a conversation with them so that I don't just lose them.
So here's what I'm going to recommend for that, Mari Cruz, and this goes to anybody. So if you have open house leads or any type of leads where you have had even a minimal conversation with them and they are a potential buyer, whether it's now, a few months from now, a year from now, I want you guys to go into the conversations library, go into the buyer folder, and there is one document in there and it's called the buyer lead sheet. Make a list of everyone that you have not asked those questions to and call them and ask those questions, because it's not about finding out how many bedrooms and bathrooms they want. It's about finding out their motivation. Should you even be using your time talking to that person right now? Are they able, ready, and willing to buy? So everyone that's on this call right now, if you have buyers or you have any buyer leads that you've not had those questions asked with, that conversation, I want you to take that out. I want you to practice those conversations in tomorrow's daily Kickstart, or call another agent if you can't get on Kickstart because of another job. Practice those questions and then call every one of them with the intent of having that conversation. Doesn't have to be a long conversation. It could be 5 to 10 minutes, depending on their answers. That's going to let you know their motivation. Rick, were you going to say something earlier?
I was just going to mention that. And the number one question on there is, has an agent taken you out and shown you any properties? And then you'll know, and you're like, oh, well, I would be happy to help you. I mean, it's, get them to a lender and,
Absolutely. And Ernie, to your question, shouldn't we be qualifying, working toward a meeting and getting a buyer's consult? Yes, that is the first step in that, is that buyer lead sheet. Okay, so we're going to go over that in future sessions of Ignite that we're going to be having probably, I think, next month. We'll get around to that. So that buyer lead sheet, and there's also one for sellers in the seller folder. That's the first step. When a lead raises their hand and says, I might be interested, I'm thinking about, or I want to, that's the first step. And unfortunately, that's the step that so many people miss. They just go straight to, great, I'd love to help you. What do you want in a house? 3 bedrooms, 2 baths, big backyard, pool, no pool. They go straight to that, start looking for houses, and then they have no idea if they've talked to a lender. Should they be sent to a lender? Do they have the ability to buy? What's their motivation? Oh, yeah, I want to buy a house, but turns out not till next year because my kid still has to graduate from high school next year, right? So that's the point of this. Is, remember, in those of you that were on Ignite, we talked about finding that A lead, right? That's how you do it. Now, we don't discount any of the other leads, but those are the ones that we're putting in command, and we're putting on those neighborhood nurtures and quarterly call plans and letting command do the heavy lifting, right? We're focusing on the ones that need help now. And I think, to the point of struggling to find motivated buyers and sellers, I think sometimes we spend too much time working with people who said they might want to do something. So we do it backwards and we miss steps, and then find out 3 months into it, they're not even ready. Well, and then how much time have we wasted because we didn't start with the motivation? Does that make sense? Is that helpful? So those are in your toolkit. Get the one for buyers, get the one for sellers, start practicing those, and then identify everyone that you have spoke to that has even remotely seemed like they want to buy or sell, and make that your goal this week, to call those people with those specific questions. Make the questions a conversation. Don't just go down a laundry list of questions, right? And get to your A buyers. You will find them that way. Okay.
Yep.
Yes.
How do you get over the fear of like closing the deal? You know, when you feel like you almost are about to close the deal and you have to ask that last question, like, what's the best way to ask the last question? You know what I mean? I'm telling you about this mom. I've been kind of texting back and forth. We had that great Keller Williams meeting on Wednesday with the guy from Megger. So I reached out and was like, hey, inside tip, I hear that they're predicting, rates will drop in May and then they're going to spike up after the spring. And she's like, oh, great. We want to list May 1st. And I was like a chicken. All I could say was, please let me know if I could help you with that. I mean, like, should I have been more aggressive? I'm like, I replay that little conversation. Now I'm like, should I have been more, I don't want to say pushy, but like, maybe we should meet or.
Absolutely.
phone.
Remember, we don't need to be pushy. That's not, our jobs are not to be pushy. We're not that type of salespeople. Okay. Nobody's going to buy a house or sell a house that doesn't want to. Okay. And we
Right.
shouldn't try to make them. But in that situation, I would have said, oh, wow, May 1st. Oh, it's already it's the end of March. So we're going to need some time for you to get everything ready. How about we set an appointment for me to come look at your home, give you any tips or pointers of things that you might do to prepare. And then we can talk about a plan for getting your house on the market by May 1st.
Okay. So kind of just assume. Okay.
Yeah.
Offer
What did I say
value.
on Saturday? What's my favorite close?
Your assumption closed or whatever it was. Let me preempt this by saying when I first started reaching out, she had mentioned that they were looking for a rental and they were renting out their place for a while. My original text was, I'm not sure if you're working with anyone, but I'm a local realtor. So please let me know if you have any questions or if I can help you. Her text response to me was, yes, we had someone, but I don't know if she'll be available at the time we're ready to sell. So is that stepping on anyone's toes?
Nope.
Okay.
Nope. Rick?
Being a chicken and just say it, huh?
I would just say, when it comes that time, or, figure out how to be more a part of it so you would know when that time comes, but say, I would love to be one of the agents you interview for that. If you don't want to be too pushy about it, tell them that you really feel like you could do the best job for them and you'd appreciate a chance to present a listing agreement to, listing presentation to them.
Yeah. And I feel like do it by next week because May 1st, that'll only give us a month,
Yeah, I would absolutely call her back this week and say, you know what? I don't know what her name is, but you know what, fellow mom? I just realized you said in our conversation, you had mentioned wanting to list your home by May 1st. It's already the end of March. I'd love to come see your home and chat with you about that to see how I can help you get that done in your time frame.
Okay. Well, I'm going to do it.
Yay. And then you're going to come back here and tell us how well it went.
Okay.
Hey,
Thank you.
Jodi.
Uh-huh.
I just real quick. I was at another or seminar, and they were talking about words to use in the listing. They're saying a marketing presentation, or how or even going for, instead of saying listing, how I can market your home, and that's another also when an agent comes up. I mean, this is just stuff that I'm learning and can't wait to use, in conversations, and saying with the other agent, saying that, well, we were talking with other agents and stuff like that. You can come out and say, well, how about if I come over and show you how I can market your home and get the best price or something like that.
Yeah, I like that. Or I'd love to come and talk about how I can help you get the best price in the shortest amount of time.
Right.
Because that's our goal, right? And so however you do it, whatever's comfortable for you. And let me tell you something, guys, if you have a listing come up or a buyer come up and you haven't yet made a fancy presentation in designs and command, so what? Go do it anyway. You have a mouth, you have a voice, you can speak. You don't have to have it if you haven't had time to do it. Do not let that stop you. Okay. If all you need to take to a listing appointment is a CMA and a net sheet, that's a bare bones listing appointment, and you can talk about the rest. Okay. So should you have something, you should have a pre-listing presentation to send to them ahead of time. Not that you're going to sit and go through with them at the listing appointment, like we talked about on Saturday. But make sure that you don't let that hold you back. Okay. You don't need that. I can't tell you the last time, and mind you, I don't do many appointments these days because of the coaching. However, even when I was practicing, I can't tell you the last time I used an actual presentation. That's not me. That's not my style. If somebody came to me with a bunch of pages and sat and made me turn the page and go through, I'd probably kick them out of the house because it would drive me nuts. I just want the information. Doesn't matter if I see it or hear it. I just need the information, right? Most people are going to be like that. So don't let that stop you. And I'm not saying don't do it. I'm just saying don't let that stop you before it's done, okay? Okay, great conversation. Is this helping those of you that are having this struggle? Is this helping you guys, this conversation? Or do you have some things that you can leave this call today and apply tomorrow in your lead gen in the morning or whenever your next lead gen time block is? Do you have some strategies that are helpful to you? I'm going to tell you one thing that I heard in the team meeting that I was just in before we move to the next thing is that the team leader there was challenged to call some people he didn't want to. And so he made a commitment to call 10 people he didn't want to call. And he did it. It was uncomfortable, but he did it. And I don't know if you know this, but team leaders in the market center are tasked to set recruiting appointments and to recruit people to the market center. And so he called these 10 people, as odd as it was, and he set 2 appointments. So get out of your comfort zone. If you're not willing to stretch out of your comfort zone and you're not willing to call those SOIs that you keep every time you come up to, oh, not this time. No, I don't want to call them. That's going to keep you in your comfort zone, and success does not come from our comfort zones. Success comes from pushing past them, pushing through them. So I want all of you that are on this call to make a commitment to look through your phone, look through your command contacts, and before next Monday, I'm going to make it super easy on you. Will you identify 3 people that you've been putting off calling or you would prefer not to call and commit to calling them? Just 3. And if you do more, great. So
3 ones that we've never called before?
If it's because it's somebody, if the reason you haven't called is because you don't want to, or you keep passing them by for whatever reason. So can everybody write down 3 names right now of somebody you don't want to call?
My
Can we
ex
text them or do we have to call them?
Say that again, Sophie?
Can we send them a text?
Nope. Gotta call them.
Okay.
Gotta call them. Now, if they don't answer, you can either leave a voicemail or turn around and send them a text. But you must try to call them. What'd you say, Autumn?
My ex-boss, I know he's going to want to buy in the next year or 2. They just got engaged. So I'm like, ooh.
There you go. Hey, I will tell you, this team leader called his ex-boss. That was one of his phone calls.
Okay. Well, I know my ex-boss is going to want to buy, but when you leave a company and they don't want you to leave and you're like, eesh.
Okay. So here's the thing. If you're committing to call 3 people that you have not wanted to call for whatever reason, if your camera's on, raise your hand. If your camera's not on, hit the raise hand button on the thing, on your what you calls it. Let's see if people without cameras are paying attention. Okay, we got 2 without cameras with the hands up. Everybody keep your hands up. Okay, hey, Colleen, it's so good to see you. All right, Leonard, are you in on this? I know he's at another job, so I don't know if he can hear everything. I give some grace there. Okay. Wait, Colleen, come back on for 3 seconds. If you can. Okay, raise your hand. Everybody put your hands up. I'm taking a picture in case you're wondering why. Okay, that is so that I can document this and know that I can hold every one of you accountable because you committed to that. So I want every one of you back here next Monday, and we're going to start the conversation off with this. And I really want to hear, and I want you to share with everyone. The rest of you can put your hands down, your electronic hands. I want you to share with everyone how it felt and what happened with it. Okay. And if you really want to commit to this, call 10 people. I'm only asking you to call 3. I think that's very minimal. And so okay, you've been listening, Leonard. Are you in? Are you going to commit to 3 people? I see that in the chat. Okay, we got it. Awesome. So these are the types of things, guys, that when you push through, you'll see differences. You will see differences in your business. Is it going to happen in these 3 phone calls? Maybe not, but it's going to help your mindset. And when you continue to do this, you're going to see your business grow. Okay. I'm really proud of all of you. Okay, we have a few minutes left, so I do want to hit on, we had struggling to maintain a daily work schedule, and I think somebody else was struggling, unless I didn't read right. That is a super common struggle that many have. Anyone else struggling with that? Okay.
Yeah.
So Sophie, give us a little more about that. Why is that a struggle for you?
You know, since we started this PC program, it's getting easier because you guys provided us with a schedule and the daily kickstart and everything. I think it's more like a motivational issue.
Okay.
But it's getting better. So I have more tools to work with right now. So you just have to adjust to it. And
Hi, Miss Kate. We can't hear her, Rick.
It's on void.
Hey, Miss Kate, this is our mastermind. Say hello to everyone.
You all, good. Hope you come up with something brilliant today.
Oh, we did. You know what they all committed to do this week?
Tell me.
They all committed to call 3 people they have not wanted to call and have been putting off because it's too uncomfortable. Oh, Ernie's saying 10. Ernie committed to 10.
Excellent. Excellent.
Is that a challenge to the rest of the group, Ernie?
Yep.
Good on you. Hey, good to see you.
Good to see you too, Kate. I just love her. She's the managing broker in the Paso Robles office, and she's just an amazing lady. Okay, it's always fun when she pops it back there. Okay, I like what you said, Sophie, because the struggle is more about not doing it, not following the schedule, right? But about the mindset around it, knowing what to do and being motivated, right? Motivation is key to anything. We can write stuff in our calendar all day long, but do we follow through with what we put in it? And really, one of the keys and one of the things that I have found and many successful agents have found, and Gary Keller was even quoted in Inman a couple months ago talking about this again. If you master the morning, the rest of the day falls into place. So yes, we tell you to, set your client appointments in the afternoon, your business servicing in the afternoon, all those things. And you can time block that out however you need to. But the key is if you master the morning, you get your lead gen done first thing in the morning. And I know some of you have other jobs and you can't do it at that time, and that's okay. Where is the time you can do this? Master that time, okay? Because you get the morning done and you do the morning right before lunch, the rest of the day is going to take care of itself. Because if you have these little to-dos, they're going to get done. Have you ever, let's give an example of when is a time in your life when you are the and I'm looking for a very specific answer here. And if you come up with other ones that I haven't thought of, great. But what is a time in your life that typically happens once, twice, maybe for some of us a little more times a year, that you are the most productive you have ever been and get the most things done in the shortest amount of time? Emily?
When you're getting ready to go on vacation.
Yep.
When there's a deadline.
Yep. If you're going on vacation and you have to be at a plane that is not going to wait for you, or a cruise ship or whatever it is, right? Where you have to be somewhere by a specific time, and you got to get the dogs all set up and the cat set up and the kids set up, and you got to, you know, get those last things for the transaction that you have going done, and you got to clean the house, and you got to leave food for the house sitter, and blah, 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 right? You got to pack your clothes, you got to wash the clothes that you're going to pack, you got to, maybe you're taking gifts somewhere, you know, the list goes on. You've all been down this route, right? The list goes on. And miraculously, it all gets done, at least everything that was important that needed to be done before you leave. Right?
True story.
So if you stick to your morning schedule, your lead generation, your lead follow-up, and don't let the crazy of the day filter into that, the crazy will take care of itself. Absolutely guaranteed. And anything that doesn't get done, guess what? Wasn't that important to begin with, or you'd have gotten it done. So, a couple of you have heard of this. So who can help us with this? This is just something that is to help you get your mind right around your schedule. Is there anybody right now that's struggling with, oh my gosh, I have so many things to do, I just don't know where to start, or I feel overwhelmed? And mind you, this could be not just work things. This could be personal things that you have to do while you're trying to get your work done, vice versa. Or does anybody have bouts of overwhelmingness with just life and things that need to get done?
Mm-hmm.
I think we all do from time to time. So I want you to think of this. And I think this sheet is in the toolkit somewhere. It's called the 4Ds. Okay. So it's either so important and so urgent, you're going to do it, or it's important, but it's not urgent, so you can delay it, right? Or it's not important, and it might be important, but it's not urgent. It might not be important. You can delegate to someone else. Those of you that have families, is there anyone else in your family that can take the trash out so you can take that off of your to-do list and make one more phone call? So there's things that we don't realize the things that we can delegate. Can we delegate? I mean, okay, this is going to be the most simplistic example possible, but delegating, you know, the computer to type a letter versus handwriting the letter, right? That's using leverage in a way so that it saves you time. Think of what you can delegate, okay? And then maybe it's not important and it's not urgent at all. It's something that you've had on your to-do list for week after week after week, and for some reason you just don't ever get it done. And so just dump it. If it hasn't been done in that amount of time, do you really even need to do it? So if you have a time of being overwhelmed with those things, make a list of absolutely everything that you need to do and assign one of those Ds to it. Star the ones that you absolutely have to do. Put a check mark next to the ones that you need to do, but they can wait, delay. Put some kind of an arrow or something next to the ones you can delegate, and the ones you can dump, cross them off. Take them out of your head.
What was the first one?
Do it.
Do it. Yeah.
That means it's important. It's urgent. You've got to get it done, and you'll have plenty of those.
So, a lot of, like with my stuff too, I mean, there's a lot of things like to where I'm getting, ahead of myself and forget to do, or like keeping things in track and getting my schedules. I mean, right now, you've got your schedule that you've given me. So there's things I've got to clear out that are already there, of course. And then it'd be a heck of a lot easier if it was just me, like if I was a single younger dude, but I got to deal with the spouse and all the things that she needs to do in the mornings and all that stuff. So trying to deal with conditioning her with my new schedules and stuff, it's just like I'm about ready to pull my hair out.
Well, and that's a common thing, right? So there's
Yeah.
others on this call that have had to do that too. And there's so that's where conversations need to be had, right? Communication needs to happen. What kind of support do your families give you guys? And how much are they relying on you to bring home money from this business? What is the purpose of you being in this business, and what's it going to do to your life, to your lifestyle? And how can they help support you in that? Now, on the flip side, maybe there's something for them that they need your help and support on, and maybe you have to give something too if you expect them to give. But have a meaningful conversation with your families about this, because in it to be successful, you've got to set expectations. And so, like, the expectation in my home is when the door is closed, no one comes in. Even when my door is open, because sometimes I leave it open because the animals come in and out and it's just easier than listening to them or whatever. But my husband is conditioned to, he comes up to the door, and if he hears voices, he doesn't interrupt, he goes away, or he'll tap. And if he doesn't hear me say, come in, he leaves and he'll send me a text or something. So he used to, when he started working at home with me, come in every 5 minutes and ask me a question. And I had to have the conversation with him because he was like, I don't know if this is going to work. You get mad at me every time I ask you anything. I'm like, well, because every 2-minute interruption, it's really a 5-6 minute interruption. Because now I got to get my head back around what I was deep into when you came in and asked if I had a minute. And then that minute sometimes turns into 10, 20, 30. I was like, wait a minute, no. So I had to set expectations. If you need something, send me a text. It'll pop up in front of me. Send me an email. If it's important, let me know. If I can make an adjustment and step out, I will. If I can't, I'll tell you. When he started doing that, we've been working together great.
I think what helped with that, to add to that for me, was like for me as an agent, it was really helpful to see the breakdown. And if I want to make X amount of money, I need to have this many appointments, this many meetings, and this many conversations. And to break that down and show that to my husband has really helped, because, that really gives me, because the problem is that you have, like, you kind of have this flexibility. I don't have a boss sitting there. I try to go to the office as much as I can, but if I'm here, I don't have a boss sitting there and asking stuff for me. But if I show, okay, I need to hit these numbers, that helped me, that just helps kind of make that all a little more tangible, rather than this abstract number of, I want to make $150,000, that's very far away for my family too.
Yeah, I love that, Valerie. And that not only helps you with your own goals and what you need to do, but that helps your family understand this is a real business. Just because I have the freedom and flexibility of not having a punch a time clock doesn't mean I don't have to work hard. And so when they can see that, it really helps get their buy-in on supporting you. Thank you for sharing that, because it's really important, guys, that you have these conversations with your family. I know Rick has, I know others have, and it's very, very helpful.
Mhm.
Well, this hour went by super fast. We had great conversation today. I love when you guys bring to the table these things, because I'm prepared to talk about something every day, but what if I talk about something that isn't hitting the button, so to speak, for you guys, then it's not as helpful. Will you gain something from it? Of course, but we want to talk about what you guys need to address. So Good conversation today. Thanks for all the participation. And everyone's going to be back Monday, right? No, or Tuesday. I'm still on the old schedule for this one. Tuesday, because we really want to hear, I really want to know how it felt to push through your comfort zone, how the conversations went, what you have to tell yourself, how do you feel after, and some results. Okay, let's help encourage and support each other by being back here to have that conversation at the start of next time. Okay,
Perfect.
have a great day, everybody.
Thanks,
Thank you.
Jodi.
Bye.